The House has passed the bill, which will see TikTok banned in these United States unless they divest from their Chinese counterpart and sell to an American company. Now we are seeing quite a bit of acrimonious debate on Twitter. You've got Thomas Massey, for instance, saying this is a Trojan horse. It's a bad idea. Many people are saying this will be used to censor us, to ban Rumble and X. I find it fascinating. For the longest time, many on the right were in favor of a ban on TikTok, primarily because, well, they are taking our data, but that's not the biggest issue, in my opinion. The biggest issue is that a Chinese-controlled company is manipulating the youth of the United States and sending them things like Dylan Mulvaney. And there's a reason why Dylan Mulvaney is doing appearances with Lady Gaga, because TikTok is making it possible. I believe there's something like they claim 170 million users in the US or something like that. I don't know that that's true, but, you know, they might count me, for instance, as a user because we have an account. Here's what I think. I will read the bill for you. I'll show you the news. The TikTok is not yet banned. The House has approved the bill. They voted yes. It will now go to the Senate, but we are seeing Senate leadership saying, or I should say, one of their committees expressing favor towards this ban. And Joe Biden has already said he will sign it. Okay. I do find it funny that for the longest time, Republicans were in favor of this. Trump has now come out against the ban, which is interesting. Biden's for it. Perhaps Trump is hoping to earn some Gen Z votes. I don't understand the arguments from the likes of Thomas Massey and many of the people on the right saying it will be used to ban Rumble and X. I read the text of the bill. Nowhere does that actually happen. And I'm quite frustrated with this incessant, no matter what action we take against those who are causing us problems, it is always going to be bad and abused by the government. I am just absolutely sick of it. Literally any time. First of all, Republicans barely ever do anything ever. And they're saying it's a bipartisan bill now. Sure, Democrats want to indoctrinate you through Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. And the right wants free speech. As I often mention, that the right is always arguing the moderate position. Both Republicans and Democrats are concerned that, well, look, we might not like each other, but China is substantially worse. Tom Cotton, of course, saying, look at how the Chinese ministry is reacting to the news that the U.S. could ban TikTok. In my opinion, TikTok should be banned or sold. Rumble has put in an offer to buy TikTok, and I believe this is the right move, but it doesn't solve all the problems. We don't want a foreign adversary like China running these apps and having control or back-end control in the end. And an American company isn't necessarily the best outcome, but if done right, it could be. Rumble operating TikTok would be the biggest win ever. Of course, if TikTok moves to the US, it likely will face, I don't know that Rumble could actually afford to compete with the likes of Google or Facebook. But I do not accept the simple argument that we shouldn't allow this bill because it'll ban Rumble and X. No, it won't. I don't see. I'll read you the bill. I don't see that anywhere in there. I don't understand what this argument is. And they say, yes, but then TikTok will be run by Facebook instead of China. Okay, that's still bad, but it's not nearly as bad as China doing it. China, as the principle behind TikTok, has produced algorithms that have made young people psychotic. And I hear people say all the time, no, Tim, TikTok is better. I don't believe that's true for a minute. We use TikTok. We were banned from I got to tell you, the worst censorship we at Timcast have ever experienced as milquetoast moderates comes from TikTok. Facebook and TikTok are so bad, but TikTok is worse. YouTube's actually not as bad. Rumble and X are the best. I think Rumble is probably the best, to be completely honest. But what I see is here's what happened. We put up on TikTok a clip from a show where someone mentioned we have stats on depression in women. And the cohort, the female demographic that has the highest rate of depression is working women. For that, we were perma-banned off TikTok. And it's not the first time. The funny thing is we've gotten like strikes. And the way the system works is they'll give you a strike and then the strike disappears. It doesn't really mean much, but they suspend you for a minute. And then when they ban you, you make a new account. We've gotten strikes for other innocuous things. And we have no idea what crosses the line. But having a foreign country moderate this means we have zero recourse, zero at all. At the very least, an American-owned company faces scrutiny, at the very least. Certainly, we had the CEO of TikTok before Congress, and he kept saying, I'm Singaporean. I don't know what you're talking about. He works for a Chinese firm. He led investment into many Chinese firms. I don't care that he's Singaporean. Here's the news, and let me show you the bill. Wall Street Journal says the House voted 352 to 65 to approve a bill on Wednesday that would ban TikTok from operating in the U.S. or force a sale, with lawmakers largely shrugging off a last-minute lobbying push by the Beijing-owned service and setting the stage for a final showdown in the Senate in the spring. I'd like to point out, Instagram is pretty bad and Facebook is pretty bad, but we have tons of clips that TikTok has removed that are fine on Instagram. I think that's an important point. Like, I'll take what I can get. If it's an American-run company, at least we can assert pressure over it. We can't with TikTok. The popular short video app has faced scrutiny for the way its algorithm works to select content for users, both on sensitive issues like teen depression, as well as contentious global debates like the Israel-Hamas war. U.S. officials say TikTok's Chinese ownership potentially gives Beijing a way to both collect data on Americans and influence public opinion, driving years of effort to crack down on the app and culminating in the new legislation. All right. So we have the video here. I'll play the quick 20-second video for you guys, and 21 seconds. Some people are arguing that the reason Congress decided to ban it now is because of Israel-Palestine, but here you go.
On this vote, the yeas are 352, the nays are 65. One present, 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed. And without the objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Next thing, it will go to the Senate. We have Jake Sherman. He says, the two top senators on Senate Intel are now supporting the TikTok bill. This is a massive coup for lawmakers who want ByteDance to divest its holding in TikTok. Senate Intel Chair Mark Warner, a Democrat, and Vice Chair Marco Rubio, Republican, endorsed the House-passed TikTok bill. We were encouraged by today's strong bipartisan vote and look forward to working together to get this bill passed. You know, the way I see it is, let me make sure I want to clear some things up so everyone understands. TikTok has a Chinese counterpart called Douyin. TikTok is banned in China. So they don't have TikTok, they have Douyin. It's the same thing, but it's different. Why? Because TikTok is poison. TikTok is intentionally sending mind-shattering videos to children. And there's tons of videos from people on TikTok being like, yo, I don't Google search these things. Why are they being sent to me? I'm not kidding. Look up algorithm arguments TikTok. They're like, one day I pulled up my TikTok and I was getting all of these weird videos. They want to manipulate young people. We talk about Yuri Bezmenov all the time, how the communists want to go after the kids and they say that they're infiltrating. Dude, this is what TikTok is doing. I'm not saying we have a perfect answer right now, but I'm seeing, a lot of people on the right, people that I respect and trust saying like, no, just parent your kids better. And I'm like, sure, I agree with that. But there are limits, right? Like when China is sending fentanyl and other drugs to the southern border, many of these same people are like, this is bad. China's poisoning us. But when China uses digital fentanyl, people are like, well, hold on. So no, ByteDance is a Chinese company. It's a Chinese short form video hosting service. The CEO, Shou Zi, I think his name is that his name, right? Chewing, of course, the last name. I don't know, whatever. He's like, I'm Singaporean when Tom Cotton asks him over and over again. No, I'm Singaporean. TikTok CEO, which is not even the question. It's a manipulation. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I have the bill for you right here. HR 7521, titled Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. Before I show you this, I want to pull up this tweet from Thomas Massey. He says the so-called TikTok ban is a Trojan horse. The president, will be given the power to ban websites, not just apps. The person breaking the new law is deemed to be a U.S. internet hosting service or app store, not the foreign adversary. How is that a Trojan horse? It's literally telling you what they said it was going to do. If you're an American service providing hosting to a foreign adversary controlled app, then you will have to pay a fine. The law is for America. What are they going to do? We hereby hold China to be illegally running an app. Okay. What? That makes no sense. It is, of course, in the United States are those who are hosting it, which means if the app still exists, its servers are outside the United States, you can still use it. It just can't be hosted by the App Store or hosted by American servers or U.S. interest servers. So I don't know. I don't agree with this, but let me read the bill for you. It's not that long, but I'll give you the breakdown. I do think there are some concerns. Don't get me wrong, but I believe that there are many people on the right who are overhyping and lying about what this bill does, largely because they did not read it. I think there's a ripple effect happening where one person says they could use this to ban Rumble. And then you read it and it's like, actually, they couldn't. Look, if they're going to ban Rumble or X, there's a lot of things they could do already to ban Rumble or X. The deep state could send a national security letter to a company and shut them down instantly. You don't need this bill to do it. There was an email service, and they received a national security letter, and they said, we refuse to comply, and shut down. This was a huge story. I believe it was pertaining to Edward Snowden. They wanted his information. If the deep state intel agencies want to shut down an American company, they can do it instantly. You don't need this bill to do it. What this bill could do, allow them to shut down TikTok instantly because they can't do that right now. Let me read. Prohibition of foreign adversary controlled applications. It shall be unlawful for an entity to distribute, maintain, update, or enable the distribution, maintenance, or updating of a foreign adversary controlled application by carrying out within the land or maritime borders of the U.S. any of the following. Providing services to distribute, maintain, or update such foreign adversary controlled application. We get it. Providing internet hosting services to them for those purposes. We get it. Applicability. As is the case, okay, so this is, I'm going to read it quickly. I'm going to paraphrase. It says, once this is signed into law by the president, you have 180 days to divest from these foreign adversaries. That's even being generous. They could just be like, nah, you're banned. No, but they're not. They're like, no, just divest and don't operate from China. This means that Chinese interests could use subsidiaries through Singapore or, I don't know, Africa, Nairobi, and then the app still operates. In the case of an application that satisfies the definition, yada, yada, data and information portability to alternative applications before the data on which prohibition applies a foreign adversary controlled application, the entity that owns or controls such application shall provide upon request by a user of such an application within the land of, or maritime borders of the U.S. to such users all data related to their account, which I agree with. I think everyone would. You go to TikTok and say, give me my data. They have to say yes. Exemptions for qualified divestitures. This is where they're saying if TikTok divests from China, you're fine. Exemptions for certain necessary services. Subsections A and B do not apply to services provided with respect to a foreign adversary controlled application that are necessary for an entity to attain compliance with such subsections. Meaning, I mean, that one's just fairly mundane and obvious. If you're trying to comply, then we're okay with what you're doing. Civil penalties, you'll get fined $5,000 times the number of users for violating the law. Data and information is $500 times the number of users for violating this law. Actions by Attorney General shall conduct investigations, blah, 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 severability, subsequent determinations. We get it. This is legalese stuff. To authorize the Attorney General to pursue enforcement. We get it. Here we go. Definitions. So now we know that if you're what does it mean you're foreign adversary controlled? I'll tell you. The term controlled by a foreign adversary means with respect to a covered company or other entity that such company or other entity is a foreign person that is domiciled in, headquartered in, has a principal place of business in, or is organized under the laws of a foreign adversary country. An entity with respect to which a foreign person or combination of foreign persons described in subparagraph A directly or indirectly own at least 20%. A person subject to the direction or control of a foreign person or entity, blah, blah, blah. This is the only provision I think we should be paying attention to. If they make a determination in Congress or through the Attorney General that a person is operating under the control of a foreign entity, this is the big issue we have right now. This should be amended by the Senate. And what would we say? We should be saying right now is Section G, subsection C should be amended. This one goes too far. Totally agree. They'll come out and they'll say Donald Trump is an agent of Russia, therefore Truth Social is banned. I don't think it would be that simple, but this is the one that people aren't actually bringing up, which is funny. Now, what is a covered company? They say it's got to have at least a million monthly active users. Okay. So here we go. The term covered company means an entity that operates directly or indirectly through a parent company or otherwise. A website, desktop application, mobile application, or augmented or immersive technology application that, 1, permits a user to create an account or profile to generate, share, or view text images, has more than 1 million monthly active users with respect to the at least 2 or 3 of the months preceding the date, enables 1 or more users to generate and distribute content, enables 1 or more users to view content. That means if there's a news website in Iran, it's fine. Exclusion. The term covered company does not include an entity that operates a website, application for the purpose of business reviews, travel information, etc., which makes sense. If you're a travel review website where people want to post like, I went to this country, here's what happened, I understand that. That is an interesting exclusion. All right, so they specifically say foreign adversary controlled application. What does it mean? Any of ByteDance Ltd, TikTok, a subsidiary or successor of these companies, an entity owned or controlled by those companies, or a company that is controlled by a foreign adversary and that is determined by the president to present a significant threat to national security of the United States following the issuance of a public notice proposing a determination and a public report to Congress submitted not less than 30 days before such determination, describing the specific national security concern involved. Now, the president can't just bang the gavel. There is a process. It's weak. I can respect that. These are not necessarily good things. But it goes on to say, what is a foreign adversary controlled company? As defined by this particular law, this is Section 4872 D2 of Title 10 U.S. Code, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, the People's Republic of China, the Russian Federation, and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, at first, I thought this might cover Telegram, but Telegram is operated out of the British Isles and Dubai, and it would not fall under this. They go on to define source code and what these things mean. They go on to mention judicial review. The only concern this bill that I have with this bill is Section G, subsection C, a person subject to the direction or control of a foreign person or entity described in no. If they said, how do you define control? They are paid by this person? Fine. That's what I think they're trying to get at, because the CEO of TikTok is Singaporean, and that's what he kept saying. But I think there should be some limiting factors here, which would be an amendment from the Senate. House, I believe, would have to approve, that basically says what we mean by this. Because right now they'll argue Elon Musk is secretly working for Russia, therefore X. That's what they could do. I do not believe it is fair to say outright that this would absolutely ban Rumble or X, or could be used to go after Rumble or X. I'm so sick of this hyperbolic nonsense. Okay. Some people say it's free speech. Disagree. I do not believe that the United States should uphold the free speech of foreign entities within its borders affecting its youth. That's insane. Imagine Yuri Bezmenov sits down and he says, the communists are going to try and infiltrate this country by targeting your youth. And you go, wow, but that's free speech, I guess. Yes, in this country, it is free speech. But for China to operate an app that is sending the likes of Dylan Mulvaney to children and increasing rates of depression, okay, I do not accept this. The algorithm is not free speech. It's an absurd argument. Section 230 has its absurdities. There's some good things about it, but this idea that massive corporations, even to this degree, the idea that Facebook has the free speech right to publish through their algorithm to target young people and send them specific information, I think is an absurdity. Perhaps the real law that needs to be passed is locking the algorithms, opening the code. Someone did tweet this, and I respond, it's a good start. They said, instead of banning TikTok, we should force them to open their source code so we can all see what their algorithm is. The only problem is there's no enforcement action for them explicitly saying they're coming after us. To be fair, it's a good start. If we expose the source code for their algorithm, we can then see, hey, look at what they're promoting. They're targeting kids with mind-bending garbage to break them and cause depression and self-harm. Then people are going to say, okay, ban the app. Here's what I'm bothered by. A foreign country is operating an app in this country that is doing exactly what Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter had been doing. But at the very least, when it came to these U.S. companies, we've got FOIA requests and we are breaking them apart. We are exposing them. I don't mean breaking apart like antitrust. I'm saying we know that the government was doing these things, and we have access to this information. Why would we give a shield to a Chinese company? We can't FOIA them. We can't go after them. Not in the same way. And they can easily obfuscate their goals, desires, and what they're doing with this app. I say, force them to operate in the United States. And people are like, yeah, but then then they're going to use American manipulation on us. And I'm like, I will gladly take American leftist indoctrination over Chinese communist indoctrination. Not that there's a very big difference, to be completely honest, but at the very least, it gives us the ability to look at the data, to actually try to go after him. Should Donald Trump become president, what could he do about TikTok? He's going to do the same thing. We pass a bill like this. We make sure we get proper amendments and restrictions. And when Donald Trump is president, then he'll be able to say, here's what TikTok is doing. Now, Trump, of course, came out and said it's absurd to ban TikTok, but this bill doesn't ban TikTok. It's to force their divestment from China. The ban is the big ask. The result, divestment. So China, they're freaking out. They're pissed off because they make money from this stuff and it gives them control and political power. What'll end up happening is they'll get their cash. It's not even a seizure of the app. Imagine if the bill says the United States government hereby seizes TikTok and will operate within its borders. Not even doing that. They're saying, we're going to, divest. Make your money, get paid, but have an American company run it. Let's get Rumble to run it. Now, the fascinating thing is, even with subsection C, which I mentioned, where it says a person subject to the direction or control of a foreign person, all any company would have to do is divest from the individual, which is bad because they could say Elon Musk works for Russia. He has to sell X. That is bad. And perhaps they might do it. It's not going to be easy. I really don't think Congress can barely get anything done. What this does is create a timeline to force TikTok to divest from China. It will likely still operate. I think it'll clean up a lot of the busted rules. I don't think things will improve dramatically, but I believe it's a good start. I don't believe this bill will result in Elon Musk getting banned. You can take any bill or any attempt to do anything and then scream bad thing over and over and over again. And then nothing gets done ever. We know TikTok is bad. We know it's poisoning kids. And here it's like we have an opportunity. But then all of a sudden, once again, everyone on the right says, no, quick, do nothing. Okay, I present you the alternative. We do nothing. China keeps sending Dylan Mulvaney to young people. Congratulations. Maybe that's what Republicans want, I guess. I don't know. Make Democrats look crazy. I certainly think the bill can be cleaned up. I have issues with Section C. That's about it. But it still is a bit of a stretch for them to just blanket claim Elon Musk works for Russia. You would have to prove it. But here's the issue. If they wanted to, they could do that now. All this does is codify TikTok and foreign adversary controlled apps and websites must divest. So sure, there are issues. But based on the language and reading through this, I think they're overreacting or exaggerating as to what will likely come from this. And it's insane to me. Anytime nothing ever gets done. And now we actually have action being taken against TikTok explicitly because Democrats are angry. What happens basically is Democrats and Republicans are upset that TikTok has been showing pro-Palestine videos and indoctrinating young people to be in favor of Gaza. And now the U.S. is like, wait, we like Israel. So this is the issue. A U.S. ally, the U.S. is supporting, the U.S. wants to win, is now they care. I tell you what will happen. Likely what will happen should TikTok divest, you'll instantly see a lot of these pro-Palestine videos probably subside. They'll still exist. People will be allowed to share them. But people are reporting on TikTok that whether they don't care about this stuff. It's like one woman's like, I do makeup and all of a sudden all I'm seeing is Palestine. That's why Congress is acting this way. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Israel. They have a right to defend themselves. Sure. I'm mostly I don't care about foreign wars and don't think we should be involved kind of person. But comment below. Let me know what you think. I am not so terrified of this. And that's just it. There could be some fixes. Let's get those fixes. We'll see what happens. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.